Okay, so let's get down to the basics of buying a rooftop tent and where it all starts. Racks are your first step. In order to be able to put a rooftop tent on a vehicle, you're gonna need an aftermarket rack. So today we're gonna talk about platforms, we're gonna talk about two-bar systems, we're gonna talk about Lightner or above cab height systems, we're also gonna talk about below cab height systems for short bed trucks. So let's dive into platforms first and get right after it. So let's dive into the first rack we're going to talk about, and that's platform racks. Here on the Sequoia, we've got a platform from Sherpa, and on the FJ, we've got a platform from Rhino Rack. So what are the benefits, what are the downfalls of a platform rack for each individual person? There's a lot of individuality here in what you want your vehicle to look like, how you want it to perform, and then accessorizing it. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do with platforms. So the main thing that I think about when I think about a platform is I think about look first. I think it makes your vehicle look really clean, really good, low profile mounting that can handle a lot of weight. So the weight's dispersed across more bars, so you're not gonna get any teetering, anything like that. Just a very solid option for whether you're just getting out on the weekends or if you're the experienced overlander that's putting in lights, different mounts, max tracks, different things like that up on a platform. It's a great option for you. Maybe some of the downfalls that we think about with platform racks are getting a tent on and off very easily. It takes a little bit more work when you're working with a platform rack, but overall, it's really a vehicle look thing for me, a weight dispersion, and then really for somebody that's really into overlanding, the budget on these things is a little bit higher than if you have a two-bar system. With that two-bar system, it's gonna be less of an install, more of an install with a platform rack where you're either fastening it down to pre-drilled holes in the vehicle or your installer may have to drill holes into the vehicle. So this is a Sherpa, like I said, they're local here in Colorado. We love those guys up there. They make great products, and so a little shout out to them. Let's move on to the second platform rack over here. That's the Rhino Rack backbone system. And what you'll notice a little bit different about this rack is just how it's set up. Very low profile, it's got some really cool designs in here. And so that's really that look thing that I'm talking about. We talk a lot about fit versus function, and also look plays a part in that. So both are great options for low profile mounting, accessorizing the rack, and really having a good option on top of your roof that's very stable. So once we get done with platforms, we're gonna go to two-bar because that's kind of the opposite of a platform. But if you do have an SUV, platforms are gonna be an option for you. And they are a very good option. They're just gonna push your budget up a little bit, and there's a few little kind of things about platforms that make them great for some people and not great for other people. So that's platforms in a nutshell. So let's touch on the rack manufacturer's accessories. Now, most of the rack companies now are coming out with rooftop tent brackets, quick releases. We provide you guys with a universal U-clamp, which is very standard in the rooftop tent industry. To do that on a platform rack, what we do is we flip your tent upside down and we take two of the bars out of the rack. So there's actually two bars missing here off the Sequoia. We just don't have them tightened in yet. But that's gonna get you the lowest profile mount with those U-clamps, but it's also gonna be a semi-permanent structure for you on your vehicle. So if you really want to take your rooftop tent on and off all the time, that may not be the best option for you. We would recommend that you get rooftop tent feet or riser feet from your manufacturer. There's just a few little things here with platforms that makes it easier or harder, and it's a lot of its personal preference. When you come to Freespirit for an install, we highly recommend that you have the manufacturer's accessories for mounting a tent. It makes life easier and it'll get you on the road quicker. So now let's get into the two-bar system. This is what you're gonna see most of the time on a stock vehicle. So here we've got a Subaru Wilderness, which this has got the raised rails. Now you can always take this entire raised rail system off and do a same platform rack just like Sherpa CBI Prinsu. There's a lot of different options out there. But for a stock vehicle, this may be somebody that's maybe more of just a weekend camper. They're not really serious about it. They really just want to get out into nature, have a good time. A little bit lower budget for just a 2-bar system. There's a lot of universal ones out there. Rhino Rack, Thule, Yakima, they all make different versions of them. Today we've got one here that's got the kind of the standard rubber strap underneath. They've also got feet that you can put into different vehicles. But a 2-bar system is great for somebody that really wants the versatility to take their tent on and off. So we've got an Aspen light up here. We will just mount this one with our universal U-brackets on the bottom. Again, very standard in the rooftop tent industry. But this is your budget-minded person. You can run a set of crossbars, probably anywhere from $300 to $500. You can get a set of crossbars. And 2 crossbars is plenty for our rooftop tents. We're on the lighter spectrum of rooftop tents. So a 2-bar system is perfectly acceptable on a Subaru Outback, Wilderness, other small SUVs. And we really like them. We love installing on 2-bar systems, and it makes life easy for you guys and saves you a few bucks in the process. Some benefits of a 2-bar system, like I already said, taking the tent on and off easily, being able to get your hands in to work on tightening down different straps, different things that you're going to use that 2-bar system for. Maybe some of the downfalls of a 2-bar system are mounting options. If you're really serious about getting out there and you have a lot of accessories, a 2-bar system just doesn't give you as much versatility as a platform rack does, but it still gets the job done, and it's the most economical way to get out there and have some fun when you're rooftop tent camping. So one more thing I want to touch on with the 2-bar system is narrower roofline vehicles, and just the depth of thought that we think about rooftop tents here at Freespirit is giving you all the options to fit it to your vehicle as best you can. So rooftop tents are universal and they can mount on just about anything, but sometimes we run into hiccups. The feet on a crossbar sometimes can protrude too far into the vehicle's roofline. And what it'll actually do is it'll disrupt the ability to mount this around that big foot plate. So at Freespirit, we give you guys the option with a second set of manufacturer holes to move your rails to an inside position, which will free up space to get those U-clamps around the crossbars. So typically, Subarus, RAV4s, little SUVs or smaller kind of crossover vehicles, you'll see this where you have a much narrower roof line and you may need to pull those bars in. Head over to our YouTube page and watch our videos about how to move those rails to the inside slots, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. All right, so let's touch on the vehicle that probably built the overlanding industry and the vehicle that you guys see the most on Instagram. That's the Toyota Tacoma with the 5-foot short bed. Let's run through some of the pros and some of the cons here. So the first big pro for me on a 5-foot truck bed with a below cab height offering is cost. By far it has to be the biggest one. It's the most economical way to get in and get out camping. It also provides very easy on and off solutions. The second big one is garages. If you live in the city or you're here in Denver or another major city, you may be living in an apartment or pulling into parking garages for work. That's another big pro of going below cab height. And then for me, I know it looks like eye level. I'm 6'3", so it really is. I'm almost looking over it, but it gives you guys the ability to work on your tent at eye level. And I'm talking about installing on and off, folding out your tent, getting to your ladder, working on your cover. The last one that I think that we see the most is probably the technical off-roaders that are doing technical trails. They like the below cab height application just when they're doing these hard obstacles. And so that kind of wraps up the pros here on below cab height. We do have a few more cons on below cab height, and that's just personal for us here. And we think it may be something that you guys grasp onto as well. The first one is visibility. Now, when you go below cab height, you're gonna block your back window in your truck. So it's basically gonna eliminate you seeing out of your rear view mirror. Sometimes that's a good thing when you're out doing technical trails because you got group rides or you got group things that you're doing and you don't wanna have lights shining in the back of your cab. The next one is access. You guys can see this is below cab height still, but these get even lower. Companies like Billy Bars that work with the Tonahue covers, they've got different heights, but it really doesn't allow you to access things very well on your truck bed. So access is a big thing for me. The second or the third one would be accessories. You don't have a lot of places to do things on a below cab height rack. You're just really stuck with what's going on here. Now these companies are starting to come out with molly panels for max tracks, which is great applications, but accessories is tough on below cab height. The next thing for me, I've got a truck, I love a truck, I've driven a truck my entire life, and I want to be able to use my truck as a truck. So below cab height hinders that a little bit, the space in your bed, especially if you're using a deck system. So we love decked and we have them in several of our trucks here. But when you put a deck system in here, you virtually can't put a cooler underneath of it. So that's one of those things that below cab height really hinders you using your truck bed for bigger items. Another one is awnings. And this is kind of more on accessories, but you know, your awning's gonna be mounted at chest level for me, and that's just not gonna work. So it's really tough on shower awnings, 180s and 270s. The next one probably is the tent lineup. So when you go below cab height on a 5-foot truck bed, you're really stuck in that mini tent. Here at Freespirit, that's the High Country V2 Mini. Maybe some new stuff coming, a little teaser there for below cab height fans. The other one that I think is probably really important for you guys as you're learning about this industry and building your vehicle is just the long-term viability of this for you and your future travels and your plans. So when you guys think about this, there's a way to buy once and there's a way to buy 2 or 3 times. I would say below cab height application, it's gonna get you in at the most cost-friendly avenue, but it may cost you more in the long term. You may end up wanting a 270 awning and you're like, I can't do it. You may find that you don't love a small fold-out tent and you want to go to a hard shell. So those are some of the cons of below cab height. We do think there's a few more than there are pros, but still a great application for people that want to get out there, do it simply, work at eye level, on and off quick. That's the below cab height option. Let's move on to another above cab height option with the same truck. All right, so now we're at the same truck with a 5-foot bed here, but we're gonna talk about above cab height applications. Now, when we say above cab height, what we're talking about is that this rack gets you above the cab of your vehicle, which opens up a lot of benefits. Now, going above cab height, I think there's a lot more pros than there are cons. So it's kind of flipped from being a below cab height fan where there's more cons than there are pros, in my opinion. This is our Leitner Designs rack. We're a huge fan of Leitner. They've always been great to us. The people there are fantastic and they make great products. So let's hit some of the pros of going above cab height. The first one is visibility. You're gonna get to see out the back of your vehicle much easier. So visibility is a big one for me. Access is the next one. You get to use your truck bed as a truck bed. You can put bigger items on the inside, all those camping adventures that you go on, or really anything that you're doing. You have a lot more access above cab height. Let's touch on decked here for a second because we touched on it in below cab height. We're big fans of the deck drawer systems for extra storage. And I really think when you go above cab height, you still have the ability to use your truck as a truck. So above cab height and decked works great for us, and we know it'll work great for you as well. The next probably biggest pro for us here at Freespirit when you go above cab height is it opens you up to our entire tent offering. That's probably the biggest one because as you kind of figure out and you tinker with what your setup is, above cab height gives you a lot more options. Awnings, accessories, you kind of can do anything when you go above cab height. So when we talk about kind of tinkering and moving around with what you want and how you're going to use your vehicle, to me this is a buy once application and you're good for everything. I think it goes across industries, whether you're a pro surfer, whether you're a pro BMX biker, whether you're in the construction industry. There's a lot of different applications that you can use an above cab height rack for, and we just think it's the most versatile rack that you can put on your vehicle. I think probably the last one, and this is personal to me, but I like being up a little higher. I sleep better. You feel a little more safe when you're up higher, when you're out in the mountains, places that you may not be as comfortable. I like being up a little bit higher. You also get the best views when you're up a little bit higher. So let's hit on the cons. I don't think that there's very many, but the biggest one is cost. Cost with these racks, having the access, having the ability to do all the accessories, you can build your vehicle to the nines. Whether you're putting a Freespirit tent on it, an awning, a shower, you're doing the Lightner storage boxes. Now this is a little bit of a goofy application, but I'm just gonna give it to you guys. I think it is the best grocery getter on the planet. It's very easy to pull into the grocery store, open up your Lightner box, put everything in, access it, get to camp, unload quickly, keep everything dry in your boxes. It is gonna come with a heavier price tag just because you have a lot more options. Let's talk about one other con. As you can see, this is above my head. So garages at your house, if you're around 7 feet, it's probably gonna be tough. That's your standard garage door. If you go to 8 feet, you've got the ability to drive right in and do those applications. Parking garages are tough. So if you're that city dweller or you are in the city in an apartment or working in a from a parking garage where you have to pull in, maybe the above cab height setup isn't for you, but there are just a few cons. We just listed 3. I don't have very many more. I love the systems. There's a lot of great companies out there that make these. Lightner Designs, Extrusion, Kuat just came out with a really cool rack. You've got the Yakima Skyrise. So there's a lot of options out there. Lightner is definitely our top pick for accessibility and gear storage. So on this other truck behind me, you're gonna see a Lightner system that doesn't have the storage boxes. You can also run your setup this way, and this is on a 6-foot Tundra bed, and it gives us the opportunity to do a lot more, bigger boxes, more storage. So now that we've kind of covered all the racks, let's dive into fitment, function, what's gonna look the best and perform from a tent aspect on each one of these racks.